This is muted, and now it's not muted, hopefully. Hello, everybody. This is very upsetting. Can we... This is extremely upsetting to me, the way this is positioned. Because I've done this on purpose, and I'm being cut off exactly at the point where I don't want this to be cut off. We'll see if it's better on the main screen, but I suspect it won't be. Thwarted by technology again. So tell me if the sound is on. Tell me all kinds of things. I'll also check with. Yeah, there is Twitch chat is live, and let me just detach this so that I can see it. Sound on, things on, I'm being told. Excellent. Excellent. But we were not supposed to start for another 3 minutes, and then I asked Jan, so this is the button I clicked to start the stream. And he started saying, yeah, but ideally don't click it yet. But he wasn't fast enough. So we are starting prior to 3 because I'm an idiot. Nothing new there. I hope you've, those of you who have been watching the live shows, I hope you've been enjoying the live shows. Today is the rest day in Norway. Because of that, we're providing some alternative entertainment for you. I'll be on for about an hour and 45-ish minutes. And then Jan will get the setup for his stream ready, and he will stream from 5 onwards. So that's the program for today. And what's on the shirt? Yeah, I hope to give you a proper view of what's on the shirt somehow, even though I mean, it's very high on the shirt, and yet still my name gets in the way. I'm very seriously considering just removing the thing with my name because it annoys me. We'll see. Anyway, let's I guess start playing. Yeah, now I have all the chats in place, and I will be paying attention to do as much as I can. Let's see what we have in the way of challenges. Yeah, that's kind of better, but also not really. Can we do it? Hang on a second. Yeah. Let me just fiddle with this for a bit. Hopefully I won't break it. Nope, that's the text. Basically, I was hoping for a host from the Noodle, and the way it looks right now, we're not getting the host from Noodle, so I think that dream is dead. I can't really. I'm not tech savvy enough for me to get the challenge pull board box to a different space on the screen. Big reveal at the end of the stream, lol, says the higher space. Not really. It's just a Bazaar t-shirt, but you can't see it, which is kind of, it defeats the purpose. What headphones do you use? These are Aftershocks. I don't know why I'm wearing them. They're not really connected to anything right now. Let me actually make sure they're not connected to anything right now. And let's start playing. Yeah, let's go from the top and see where it takes us. He could just stand up, but chess players are lazy, says Fuxia. Fuxia is exactly right. Whoever, I mean, standing up, I mean, have you ever heard of such a thing? It's just very early on in the banter to suggest such, ridiculous extremes. I feel personally attacked, is what I want to say. Not entirely sure. I mean, knight f6. I used to play e6, a6, queen c7, and Knight f6 first is actually smarter than the immediate bishop c5, I think, because you actually have to fight against queen g4. This is not a stupid move order at all. I quite like what my opponent is doing here. So what we end up with is a kind of a very normal bishop c5, bishop a7 Sicilian, but by starting with queen c7 on move 5, by sort of including knight c3 and queen c7, my opponent made sure that I cannot play these positions with a pawn on c4, which is something I would probably prefer to the setup I currently have, but it is what it is. I probably should have taken on a7 here, to be honest. I don't know why I'm waiting with this. And b6, yeah, I think my opponent currently is making arguably more sense than I do. And this is a move kind of aimed at an autopilot bishop b7, because then I'm planning to go a5, b5, and bishop takes b5, and I would be quite happy with that development. I might even do that even if he just castles. I think it might still be working, although I am obviously less sure about that, because these types of sacrifices, they work a ton better when the king is still in the center, of course. Yeah, and due to me starting the stream 3 minutes early, I still have an unfinished lunch in front of me. I'm not going to be eating in front of you guys, but I will be finishing my coffee and my green drink, which is probably, yeah, it's very nice. It's actually green, but it shows up as this kind of weird futuristic no color drink because of the green screen. Soylent Green. Soylent Green is people. And we, sort of just like that, we are completely winning. I think a6 is much more important than c2, so I'm not going to be stopping to defend this. I can also... I mean, I'm kind of debating including rook c1. I think it's a sensible idea. Spoilers, says Lorinda. I haven't actually watched the movie. I just know Soylent Green is people. I missed rook d8, but luckily for me my position is so good that it's impossible to spoil pretty much. And I also missed that he can now go rook d2. I thought knight b3 just wins a piece there. This is a bit of a premature resignation, but I would have eventually won this position. I thought after rook d2 I can go something like knight b3 and the bishop just gets lost because he cannot take, I give mate. But in this position he actually has rook d1 check, and I would still need to win this because the bishop actually gets back to b5. But I think after rook d2 the easiest way for me is just to take on a6, then go knight b4 and just start pushing the a pawn. Are you reading Twitch, Peter? Yeah, I am reading Twitch chat, Sleepy Mario. I hope Chess24 doesn't ban me for reading Twitch chat. Hashtag Navi has done nothing wrong. You look way cooler without your earring, Peter. It's still there. I'm not sure what you mean, typical Ivan. I feel completely naked without my earring, to be honest. I mean, it's so much, it's somehow become a very integral part of how I view myself. Chess24 will have a hard time keeping Peter off Twitch, or Twitter for that matter. I haven't seen the actual stream, but I woke up to the whole stupid drama and Yeah, I think I probably shouldn't really spend too much time discussing this because it is, after all, a chess stream, but I feel that Navi has been extremely hard done by. I hear a fly buzzing in the background, says Jonathan Russell. You are not wrong. It's summer. They've woken up, the monsters. Probably taking on d1 first was more precise because I think my opponent should have fought for the c5 pawn. He should have played knight e4 on the previous move. Now I'm very comfortable, but after knight e4 I'm much less sure about how good my position was. I do like knight d4 though, because fighting against knight c6 is very much part of White's plan, or at least should be part of White's plan here. And I'll go as far as to start fighting for these squares immediately. I need to move this knight away or trade it so that I can play knight b8 c6 without spoiling my own structure. And yeah, there's always drama on Twitter. I mean, it's sort of what Twitter is for. Very sensible move by my opponent, but it does give me an option of actually sort of ignoring everything I said previously, because it, like, now if I play knight c6, it wins me like 2 tempi compared to the previous position. If he takes on c6, he will have to go back to c3. And I guess he wanted to take on d8, and he thought knight c7 will come with the tempo, but I take with the a rook, and knight c7 is no longer a fork. I think this was a misplay by my opponent. And I should be actually quite significantly better here. Actually, bishop c4 was winning in one move right now. I'm slightly, I mean, saying I'm not woken up by 3 p.m. is a bad indictment of my lifestyle, but I did not expect my opponent, who played a perfectly sensible game up to that point, to just blunder a full piece in one move pretty much. So I did not react properly to it. This bishop is in trouble. If he goes a3 here, yeah, now he loses the whole bishop. Yeah, it's just gone. Somewhat surprisingly, I would also catch it on d4 in the very center of the board. After bishop d4, e5, it just gets picked up. So yeah, this is the short. It's just I will at some point just remove my name from the screen, because people should know who to challenge. All right. What's the story behind that username? Which username though? Are we talking about Paul Borta again? Is there somebody in chat who can help typical Ivan with that, or Ivan? I feel like it's so stupid because it would never occur to me to call anyone actually Russian Ivan, but when I see it spelled in an English-speaking chat, I have this urge to say typical Ivan, which should not be. Exactly, you're not even Russian, and yeah, it's just a bit of a kind of a brain bug. I think it's quite famous, but like quite well known by this point, that I have no idea about this line. I played it for the first time in my life in a classical game against Magnus. Should have been mated by move 15, but somehow didn't. And I continue playing it despite frankly knowing nothing at all about it. So the alternative would be to actually learn something against bishop g5, and we all know I'm not going to do that. So I think my decision, if you look at it through that lens, is perfectly understandable. You're welcome, Sakas. I think you played... I mean, the first 15 moves I kind of agreed with most of your decisions, but then you have gone wrong. And this is also what Magnus has done, but in the Magnus game, I had the h6 bishop h4 sequence included, and I think I should be better off without it. The question is, should I even react to this in this setting? I think I'm just castling here. I played... whoa! John! So happy to see you here. It is the billiards thing, yeah. Come on, people. If you're not following John Arshall, you should be. I will probably have to play 75 next move anyway, but one thing I've noticed sort of in comparison to that Magnus game is that with the bishop on g5, I'm a lot less scared about the knight of 5 piece sacrifices, because it will take white one more move sort of to get the attack going on the g file, because the bishop is sort of in the way of his own attack. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to block this in now, because I need to start playing b5 at some point to start developing my queen side. And with the bishop on g2, I cannot play b5 until I've eliminated the threat of e4, e5. Peter is a Reynad fan, huh? Who isn't? Come on. I mean, more specifically, I'm very interested to see if anything comes off in terms of the new game he's trying to develop. Peter, are you on Twitch yet? You're talking to me on Twitch, aren't you? Well, I do have my my own channel, but I haven't actually streamed properly for, I think, something like since the Sinquefield Cup 2017-ish, I want to say. Due to a number of reasons. The one I like to give is that my equipment is kind of broken, but that doesn't explain why I don't get myself new equipment. It's obviously just an excuse. A knight should be on c4. I'm trying to figure out if it should be the knight that is currently on e5 or the one I can develop via b6 and c4. I think it often comes to the same, but I think also winning a tempo, driving the rook away from d5 makes more sense. And my opponent kind of decides to completely ignore everything I've been doing for the past 5 moves, which is, I think, ill-advised. Some kind of a c3 move was called for there, but it does give me a hook, so to speak, to start some kind of b5 before counterplay, so I can sort of understand why he wouldn't want to play c3, but allowing knight takes b2 is, I think, going to end up poorly for you in more cases. That fly, though. Go back to sleep, man. There might be some forced mate, but I'm not going to be looking for it because of just how winning this is. There's really no reason for me to look for more, because this is just so completely winning. Yeah, and rook d3 is a clever move here, because if he takes on g2 first, queen c3 just wins on the spot, but I mean, this doesn't change the evaluation. Like, I can even do this if I want. Yeah, and we actually had this precise conversation with Lorinda prior to the stream about not actually looking for mate when your position is completely winning anyway. Did I see the Garechkina ending yesterday? I saw bits of it. Not all of it, but I did see bits of it. White seemingly made some progress, but it's actually only one check. I don't really care about the h7 pawn. He doesn't have pieces to support this attack. He needs light pieces around my king or a way to break down, sacrifice something on g6. And in the meantime, I'm just giving mate on the other side of the board. Ah! Okay, that probably makes my position completely lost. Ah! That was not the pre-move I was looking for. Ah! We don't like this. We really, really, really dislike this. I'll still win, but yeah, that made the game unnecessarily tricky. Yeah, that was somewhat uncalled for. Obviously, if I don't pre-move bishop c3 here and just take and make, well, any sensible move, like, I don't know, queen c4, I am completely winning. Or actually, like, queen c3 here is probably mate in 5 or something. So yeah, this made things slightly interesting, but luckily for me, it did not change the outcome. And people in Chess24 chat shouldn't feel abandoned. I just haven't seen any direct questions directed at me there. I have it open as well, and I will address interesting things in there. But yeah, bishop c3 there was your typical Peter Svidler tries a pre-move type move. Should never be attempted. Thank you, Triple M. How old are you? I am about to turn 43 in about a week. Close Sicilian, why a really weird move order here. There was a question about close Sicilians during one of our Norway chess shows. Yeah, you're not supposed to go back to b1 here. I think you're supposed to play knight d5 and knight e3. I think knight b1 is a concession. Not hugely bad for white, but I think knight d5, knight e3 is more natural. Sorry about the question, says Nakafan, but I haven't seen it. Ah, yeah. Why do you think you was an unpleasant opponent for Kasparov? I just didn't see it. I wasn't ignoring it. I didn't see it. I was looking at something else. I'm not sure I was an unpleasant opponent for Kasparov. I think I had a decent enough start in our head-to-head matches. Games. I don't know why I said matches there. But he got a handle on it eventually, as he often did. I think he generally was maybe a bit of a slow starter, if you can term it that. Against people he didn't know. He took him a while to kind of get adjusted and work out the strengths and weaknesses, but I don't think I was a particularly unpleasant opponent for him. Do I think Italian is a good opening for beginners? Not a bad one, actually. It's reasonably complex strategically, and yeah, I need to pay attention for a second here because I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. But yeah, Italian is the thing about openings for beginners is it doesn't really matter what you play. You should just play a lot and you should play attentively. This is what I always say. This is what I always say to people when they look for sort of general advice at that sort of relative beginner level. Is The biggest trick to improving is just a ton of practice, but not mindless practice. You have to actually try to improve. Yeah, I thought I will play bishop a6 and something like c4 here, but knight f3, knight g5 is quite decent in reply. And also g6, g5 break is... well, how am I down to 36 seconds? That's what comes from reading too much chat. I'm just gonna lose this game on time now, which is a bit unfortunate. I wonder what got asterisked out in that question from Sergeant Knight. But in general, like any analysis tool is decent. I don't know that particular one, but sort of playing quite attentively and then using some kind of a machine helper to make you go to make you better understand what you could have done differently. I think those are decent ideas. Time for some patented Svidler pre-moves. Indeed, yeah. I mean, I'm doing fine. And also, like, I think my last move was horrible. I should have taken on g4 first. But generally speaking, I'm doing fine here. But not losing on time will be the big challenge. And after this move, I'm also not doing fine. So, yeah, I kind of panicked a little bit there. Not a particularly happy bunny about this game, to be honest. I think time management and then why did I not? Yeah, I mean, allowing d4 here is just so horrible. Yeah, none of this is great. Just h5 wins, more or less wins. Now, yeah, this sequence is very bad. And also like 8.7 seconds. Bishop f4 is just yeah. After c3, I should have bitten the bullet and taken on e5, but kind of want to resign. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but let's play it out. Yeah, that's not great. That's not great, but basically suddenly realizing here that I have 30 seconds for the rest of the game was what did me wrong here. I did not see the Grishuk's press conference, Linus. I'm sure it was a good one because he never really does bad press conferences, but I haven't seen it. Played out for 0.4 seconds. Yeah, exactly, City Slicker. The whole thing was a bit of a train wreck. My opponent played up an excellent game, I have to say, for like you don't expect to be so soundly outplayed by somebody rated 2010, but it does happen occasionally. Did you support West Indies yesterday, Peter asks Pramod. First of all, hello Pramod, very happy to see you. And secondly, yeah, I mean, I'm an England supporter. I'm not supposed to, like, I'm never going to be supporting the Aussies, right? And it's a bit of a pity because West Indies, I think the world is just Jan trolling me in chat is always a welcome sign. Should not allow bishop g5 here, I feel. I mean, the world cricket is much healthier with the West Indies doing well, and it was very exciting to see them get into such a great position yesterday, but they were not able to convert, and this is also, I think, something we've seen before. I probably should have worried more about queen b3 than I was worrying about bishop g5. And also now, like I thought I will just play bishop e6, bishop queen takes b7, bishop takes d4, but now, after my brilliant decision to play h6, the pawn on h6 will be hanging. Yeah, this is not proceeding as smoothly as I expected. I don't really have a dog in the Pakistan-Sri Lanka fight. Spooch Gopher. I was the original Tendulkar fan on ICC, says Naka fan. Thank you for that. That is ages ago. I retired Tendulkar a long time ago. Way before Tendulkar actually retired. I know season 5 is out objectively worse, yeah, but I don't have access to it just yet. I will definitely watch once I get my hands on it. Rook d1 is not a good move though. Like this actually gives me a tempo to do stuff, which is like the absolute last thing my opponent should be doing. Something like bishop f4 or yeah, like plenty of decent moves there for white. I felt like I wasn't doing that great, and then he played rook d1, giving me a full tempo to play bishop g4, and suddenly I was much better. I have wondered for years what a frontal lobotomy was, says Sleepy Mario. This is some very obscure references. I'm kind of happy I know what you're talking about, and probably nobody else in this chat does. Pramod says, heard BBC recognized your cricket interest. Yeah, I got mentioned in the ball by ball on the BBC website, which is obviously nice, but not gonna go anywhere. They've been sort of aware of my existence for a while, and I never like at some point there was talk of me actually getting a guest spot on the test match special, but I think it's a lot likelier by this point that I will get a guest spot on the Guerrilla Cricket broadcast than the test match special. Only premium members, yeah, that's right, Nicholas. And we are now winning here, yeah, it's so very easily technically winning bishop ending. I think I'm safe pre-moving b takes c6, because if he goes cb7, the move will not be legal, right? That's kind of important here. The real question is, who is Raphael? Yeah, that will remain unknown until the end of time, I assume. And I don't say this because I know, and I'm not going to tell you, I just don't know. Do you know that Chahal was a 1900 FIDE-rated player before? Yeah, it's been well reported. There were articles on both, I think, the chess websites and the cricket websites dealing with this. I think you spamming the Stark Noble facts will not really make the decision change. So I don't know why you're doing that. Ah, the lev tech. D3, queen d2, b3, bishop b2. Yeah, I don't really understand what that does. Also, let's not give my opponent an option of just repeating Lev's moves here, right? Sound a little bit too low. Well, I mean, there's only one mic in the studio, and I'm not gonna tinker with the settings because I'm very, very afraid, basically, of tinkering with the settings. It never ends well for me. Why is Sasha so funny at press conferences? Asks Banter Chess. He is a genuinely funny guy. He has a very, very nice, dry sense of humor. He is not... well, I mean, I'm sure by this point he kind of treasures his reputation as somebody whose press conferences are an instant hit, but he doesn't prepare remarks or anything. He is just genuinely very funny. And that's why it is. And what it is. Yeah, I want to play d5, but I also don't want to drop the c5 pawn. But I think I probably have enough preparation now, because I will have knight d4 if he takes with everything and takes on c5. Yeah, I mean, the theory that Rafael is Kasparov has been around for ages and ages. It's possible, but I mean, we don't know. So I'm not going to speculate. Is he funnier in Russian? I have a feeling that it's possible he is actually funnier in English, because I mean, he speaks very good English, but it's still sort of accented. Yeah, I shouldn't have allowed this, now that I look at it dispassionately. This is not a good position for me. And well spotted by my opponent. I need to think about this, because knight takes e2, king h2, that's kind of bad. I'm thinking that maybe, yeah, I think this is what I'll do. I think this move is actually, it looks very stupid, but I don't think it actually is. Knight c2, queen a4 check, I think, is very good for him, because I cannot play bishop c6, queen takes c2, then becomes very strong. But I think this is quite playable, actually. I could also play bishop c6, but I got excited by a certain idea after b5. Actually, I just missed queen a6. I'm not playing well today, but this shall not stop us from continuing. I think bishop c6 objectively may have been stronger. And in general, probably not going for this at all was stronger. But I got very excited about the whole queen d1, bishop b3 idea. Am I not doing very well here? I mean, I have knight b3, it wins the exchange, but I'm thinking if maybe I should do something else. Because knight b3 he has like bishop c3, for instance, and it gets very messy. Yeah, I have a feeling I should go for this instead. It's kind of sad, but I think Yeah. Yeah, let's take a draw here, because I mean, obviously he's slightly better after ef3, and this is a bit of a mouse slip. And after ef3, it would have been an interesting game to see if maybe I can salvage here. Like I think I probably play king d7, and I hope to play bishop c5 and then f6. But I mean, he's better. He is certainly better after something like bishop c3. I could play, yeah, I guess people are interested in this position. The thing is, he goes bishop c3, and if I take on a1, he even has knight takes e5 here, I think. Although maybe not. Maybe this doesn't exactly work for him. I thought knight takes e6 is strong because he attacks all of my pieces. But actually after bishop takes f1, I end up ahead. But after, let's say, rook a1, I think his position is fine. But yeah, I think not playing knight b3 was a mistake. A tactical mouse sleep, says the communicator. No, he's clearly better after ef. And he's also higher rated than me, so I don't think he's begging for a draw necessarily here. He just made a bad mouse slip here. Next time I'm worse against Peter, I'll just mouse slip and get the draw, says Sleepy Mario. This only worked for him because he was better. So, I mean, if you do end up yourself in a position where you're sort of better without risk against me, I will probably give a draw after a mouse slip, but only under those precise circumstances. And they are not that easy to reproduce, despite what you might be witnessing on this stream. What's Peter listening to? I'm basically I showed up like this to one of the Norway chess rounds, and Jan quite pointedly asked me, are the headphones a fashion accessory? And I apologized and took them off. And then I thought I should sort of reassert myself a little bit more in life. And I thought, okay, today I will just wear them as a fashion accessory to, you know, stick it to the man. Last time I played Peter, I was worse and he resigned, says Nizahe. I don't remember that, but who knows? It's possible this is true. The question is, should I allow knight f5? Because my position is so comfortable here, I think I can afford even to play g3, g4. Just to make this knight on g7. The famous fianchettoed knight is just so completely useless here. It makes my attack slightly slower, because actually this is the square where you want your knights. Like your normal course of action here would be to play something like h4, knight 1, h2, and knight g4. But I like the restriction on the knight on g7 so much that I just thought, okay, let's do this. Could Kasparov unretire and train for 1 year and beat Magnus, asks Nakafan. No. He would be competitive at a reasonably high level, but not that level. Yeah, I'm actually kind of regretting my choice, because, you know, if you imagine my position here with the knight on g4 against the pawn on g4, I would be actually kind of giving mate already. And the way I played it, I am quite far away from it. It was a stupid idea. The thing is, my opponent is really not achieving very much on the other side of the board either. So I'm just now planning to play like knight g3, rook h1, take on, I mean, such a set, like a sentence has not been uttered in English language for a while. Bishop takes g7 in this position. But I might end up having to do that once I have amassed enough stuff on the h file. I probably can play knight g5 even without preparing it, but I don't feel like preparing it can be very bad. And once again, it feels like I should probably give mate faster now, but it's not very high on my list of priorities because the position is just so completely winning if I take it slower. How's the weather in Leningrad? It's extremely hot, I'm being told. I am in Hamburg, but I can still answer those questions. I have family there, I talk to them. Surprising as it may sound. Yeah, now we are breaking through and giving mate. Do people confuse you with, I assume you mean Jan Nepomniachtchi? No, not really. I am older and taller. And I have a Bazaar t-shirt and he doesn't. That's a very distinguishing characteristic. Apparently, we are in presence of royalty. Hello, Gata, if it is Gata. I'm not as well versed in the chess Twitch usernames as I should be, but if Extreme Dota is indeed who people say it is, hi, nice to see you here. Peter missed mate in one. Yeah, I could have played PNF8 mate. Yeah, obviously not fast enough today, but also you don't get in this format you don't get penalized for making mate in 3 instead of mate in 1, so I don't feel that bad. Oh. Yeah, yesterday I was trying to figure out what my quote-unquote notes say about this and kind of failed, but there we go. Let's see if I can actually reproduce what I was talking about in the video yesterday. This is obviously the Carlsen Grishu game from yesterday, and yeah, something like this definitely makes a decent amount of sense. But during my quote-unquote analysis, which I did preparing for the highlight video, I was not convinced it actually changes the evaluation to the extent that black should be too worried about this, and now people will probably prove me wrong. But this does make a ton of sense, because with the king on e1, the whole h4, h5 play just becomes a ton faster. And yeah, that's quite relevant. Just play like Grishuk, says Verthik. Probably not. Probably not, but I do have some ideas here. Once again, I'm not sure what happens if he just ignores this, but I think it's a better version for me compared to the game, like a much better version, because I haven't wasted too much time on the queen side making unnecessary moves. Like if he plays h5 here, ed5, e5. Yeah, and this is like the one big idea I had here. d6, e5, fe9, d7. Once again, absolutely unsure it's any good, but if it comes off, I will end up with a very nice knight on e5 and a lot of play against his... I don't know what bishop d4 is all about, to be honest. Just appears to kind of blunder a lot of stuff in the center. Maybe he wants to take and go d7, but that pawn is... it shouldn't leave. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to leave. No, this is a mistake. He should have played rook d1. But even after rook d1, I feel like I was close to winning. This kind of looks like Carlsen Grishuk from yesterday, says Nakafan. It was Carlsen Grishuk from yesterday up until move 13. And then my opponent tried a different plan, which I think was very valid, but then he misplayed his position and lost, as you can see. I did not miss a second mate in one. Just so that I don't get too flamed by my own chat. Carlsen did not play h3 at all. Carlsen castled instead of h3 in that position, vertic. So I was not the one to deviate. My opponent was. Have you heard of or played Druidstone, says Objectively Worse. I was not a huge fan of Druidstone. I mean, I have a golden portrait, but that's about it. I did not spam Druidstone when Druidstone was a thing. Playing Jan, says Thomas Nordberg. Playing a version of Jan, anyway. Not sure about a4. Maybe bishop e2 first was more precise. But I'm sort of proceeding under the assumption that, you know, if he does something like this, maybe the bishop will actually be better off on c4. And then I have made a slightly more flexible decision. What does a4 do in these positions? You want that pawn on a5 in very many cases, because it kind of hinders black's development on the queen side. It gains space. It's just a general all-round idea to have that pawn on a5 if you can get it. Can you still compete with the top 10? Well, it kind of depends on how to phrase it. Time frame, I guess. In a single game, for sure. I mean, I scored 50% in Grenke. But sort of more long term, I would need to like my best level is still sort of easily top 10. It's just that my consistency is very, very poor these days. I christened one event the Malfurion Cup in 2017, says Lorinda. I do not doubt that. Who do you think are the biggest young talents? Well, define young, but yeah, Firouzja is the first name on everybody's mind. Firouzja, Yesipenko, I guess. All the Indian kids. There's just too many of them to name one or even two these days. Yeah, I mean, Artemiev would be the answer, but he is, like, by this metric, he is not young anymore. Rook e8 was either a daring something sacrifice or bit of a lack of awareness from my opponent, because he now faces an unpleasant choice of going d takes e5 and giving me an option of, let's say, winning the exchange, or going knight d5 and just giving me a pawn for not very much. If you were to predict the 8 players who will make the next candidates, who would you name? Well, I mean, do we take the formula into the account? Because I mean, by the formulas, I will now mix it up horribly, and I will be very embarrassed. But 5 is already there, so one place is taken, and from the rest, you kind of assume Ding will get in. You hope Anish will get in, because simply, you know, all the banter value we will get out of Anish being in the candidates. The next candidates is 2020, and I mean, Artemiev had an absolutely stellar year, but he will have to, I guess, get through the World Cup to get into the candidates. It's not impossible, but as somebody who has done this twice, I can attest how difficult it is. It's not a given that, you know, anybody qualifies, no matter how good. And it's therefore not a given that Artemiev will qualify, even though, you know, in terms of sheer results, he is a very, very clear-cut second player in the world this year after Magnus. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question, but like, you can take the top 10 and select your picks, but I don't think there are any clear-cut favorites. I mean, Jan Nepomniachtchi, having won the first Grand Prix, is now clearly a front runner to qualify through the Grand Prix, but it's extremely early to tell, with 3 more stages to go, so it's like way too early to say anything on this subject. It would be nice if he did qualify, because he's a very strong player. He's been a lot more serious about chess in the past couple of years, and I think it's kind of well past time for him to get a shot at this format. We'll see. Okay, let's pick somebody slightly lower rated. My scrolling skills have not really improved since the last time I did this properly. Yeah, MVL, I'm kind of blanking on names, because there's just so many very strong players these days that trying to narrow it down to even a list of, let's say, 7 names is not that easy. But yeah, MVL should be on anybody's list. Is Karakin done as a serious contender? Asked Cthulhu. I'll tell you after the game, because I'm hoping you're not stream sniping here and you're not listening to what I'm saying. But the quick answer is, like, if I'm to be put on the spot about this, I would suspect that he will still have very decent tournament results, but as a very serious contender for the world crown, it will be difficult for him to replicate the heights of the 15-16 cycle. Yeah, this is slightly unfortunate, because like, we all used to know what to do here, and then we all kind of forgot. And goodness me. Like this is the old, like really old theory, which I feel like I'm supposed to remember what I'm doing here, but I don't. Why does Naka not play in Norway? It really is not a question for me. I have absolutely no insight on the state of negotiations and whether he declined an invitation or never got an invitation. I don't know. I'll try this. I'm not sure this is correct, but I just don't feel like playing rook e1. Who do you think won't make the cut from the Berlin candidates, asks Perpetual Stalemate. Yeah, I think Sergei is unlikely to get there again. I mean, math would suggest that it's very, very difficult to get through the whole World Cup thing again, and by losing in the first round of Moscow, he severely harmed his chances of getting through the Grand Prix. Schach has not been playing particularly well, but you can never really count out Schach. Schach is a very, very strong player, and if he suddenly decides to start playing well again, he will be very much a contender. Wesley has not had a stellar year, but once again, we're talking about somebody who was at some point like 28-20 easily, so. Would be a bit stupid if we discounted his chances. Is begging allowed in the Twitch chat, says the commutator. Begging is never really disallowed. What I always say about begging is it doesn't actually improve your chances. But you should feel free to beg regardless. Like it's your life and you do what you want. But it normally doesn't do you any good is what I'm trying to say. May I call Peter and ask him to accept my challenge? I have my phone on mute, so this probably will not work. What was the problem with bishop takes b6? Black simply takes with the a7 pawn, and the rook from a8 will protect the bishop on a4. This is sort of the point. And giving up this bishop for no reason didn't feel like a particularly good idea to me. Like if it would win material, of course I would take on b6, but because it doesn't, I didn't feel like doing it. Now my pawn on d5 is hanging, which is kind of annoying. I think I may have gotten slightly overexcited about the whole sacrifice thing. I mean, I can play e6, but then he gets to trade a lot of pieces, and maybe even the queens, which is particularly unpleasant, because once the queens disappear, it will be a lot more difficult for me to develop anything serious. I would probably play bishop c5 sort of on autopilot, but I think rook f3, gf, bishop e5 is quite strong. So I'm a little bit stuck here. I'll go bishop c5 anyway, because I think it creates the most immediate questions, but knight g5, I did not even see that this existed. This is a good suggestion by Vertic. Yeah, rook f5, I thought I can just play bishop d3, and this doesn't really give my opponent much in terms of like gained tempi. Rook still has to go somewhere again. Yeah, and if you're taking on e5, I think taking on f3 first was more precise. I'll try to open the H file here. I'm not even trying to calculate all the permutations of black taking on d5, because I think I should be doing well in all of those. So when are you changing the team name to Bojack Horseman? Are you then Mr. Peter Butter? That second one is very clever. Yeah, I mean, the whole Bojack Horseman belongs to Jan, but the Mr. Peter Butter is new and funny, and I applaud you. I blundered bishop f4, but I'm lucky because I have gh7 check. But I should remember not to blunder it on the next move. Because if I blunder it again, it might be sort of the last time I do. And that will be quite painful. Can you give us an idea on how to beat Jan? What openings do we play? I think you play fast. And maybe you can kind of slip me a bill so that I could come into the studio at an unexpected time and shout at him or whatever. Or, okay. Bishop g6, bishop f4, I guess, is his idea. Yeah, as mentioned, I should not be blundering it twice in a row. But I don't think it actually works. I think I'm coming... okay, no. This is just a mistake. I'll show you guys why I think this, bishop f4 wasn't working after the game. So yeah, in this position, if you go bishop f4 here, I go gh quite simply, and after king h8 I have bishop d4 check. But in this position it's slightly more tricky. He goes here. The queen seemingly is gone, but I take on h7. The king has to go to either g7 or f7, because king h8, once again, bishop d4 check is very strong. So let's say king g7, I go bishop d4 check. And now the king finally has to go to the f file, let's say to f7. And then I pin the bishop on the f file, and black is never really in time to collect on d2. How to beat Peter, says Johnny Belove. Ask intricate questions about cricket in chat. That's a good start. I will agree with that. Okay. Yeah, and you played well, Cthulhu. I quite liked many of the things you've done. Not all of the things you've done, because I think at some point you potentially maybe were even better, but definitely many of the things you've done I thought were very sensible. Yeah, I wish I knew what I was doing here. Seems to be okay now. I was more worried about some other things. I understand this is very, very vague, but yeah, at some point I was quite seriously worried about my position, but I think now I'm doing okay. I wonder at what rating does Svidler start to think, I should be a bit careful against this player. Well, like rating-wise, somewhere around 2400, I would guess, although it varies wildly. But also, sometimes you get these discrepancies between sort of the announced rating and the play quality. We've already had one of those during this show. Whatever is one above Lawrence. That is a good answer. But yeah, generally speaking, it's either quite clearly like a very workable rating, something above, I don't know, 2400 is some kind of a benchmark. I don't know why I chose that, but I think it's a workable benchmark. Or somebody who just, you can sort of more or less instantly see if the moves and sort of the plays the player is making are sensible and display understanding. And then your spidey senses start twitching. And yeah, hi. I have both chat windows open, and I'm trying to pay attention to both. Yeah, people trying to spread some disinformation in the Chess24 chat about the meaning of some Russian colloquialisms. I don't know why I allowed this. I somehow felt that this is not that great, but now that I look at it, my bishop on c8 is just so unbelievably stupid. And it's not that easy to get it into the game. I mean, I have one way of doing it, but I have a feeling I just get mated by force if I do that, which is not ideal. But I will try, because like it leads to an interesting game at least. If by interesting we mean losing by force, as we've already established. Because this way I actually get the bishop to a good diagonal. I also invite a very, very direct mating attack against my own king along the GFH files. And normally, yeah, this is... Like, don't do this at home, kids, is what I'm trying to say. This is extreme high-risk strategy. I obviously checked it for like 20 seconds before going for this, because if I thought this lost on the spot, I wouldn't have done it, but I still think it's probably completely unsound. Yeah, exactly, and the bishop on b2 is why I'm doing this. If there was no pawn on d2, for instance, like if you imagine in this position the pawn on d2 being, let's say, on b3, I am probably completely lost, because at some point this bishop also goes to c1 and joins the attack. But the bishop on b2 doesn't really do very much. Yeah, I like 960 September. I'm very much on the record as liking 960, and I might have a couple of things this year connected with 960, which I am very, very much looking forward to. What fascinates me about 960, I mean, what everybody else likes about 960 is the freshness of it, the constant challenge to figure something out on the fly without having any preparation time. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's trying to prove by this, because once again, the bishop is just too far. Bishop g7 is also possible, but I want to keep the g file for the rook, basically. What I'm trying to do here is to keep the g file empty of pieces, because at some point I want to go rook g8, g6 or something like that. Knight h5 looked very strong there instead of queen f5. Then I go rook g8. This is... that was exactly the plan, sort of. Am I blundering some? Yeah, if I go queen c8 here, he has knight takes d6. This is quite clever. I might still be very significantly better there, though. But I'll think for a bit, because if I don't have to give up my extra material, why should I give up my extra material? I mean, I can just play something like f6 and... Yeah, let's keep our stuff. What was knight h5 instead of queen g4? Yeah, that one I was worried about. That one I was very, very seriously worried about. I thought I could still play something like bishop g5 and then maybe be in time to play king h8, rook g8, but never play f6, boo, says Sentinel. Sentinel returns. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it deserves, I think I would have cut the boo at like 3 O's. I think the amount of O's you put into that boo is slightly overstated. He's all booing, it says Perpetual Stalemate. Yeah, that was my feeling. Let's have a look at this, by the way. Yeah, so knight h5 here. I go bishop g5. And if he goes queen g4, king h8, h4, I can go bishop h6. And then I go rook g8 next move. Let's say rook f6, I go rook g8. And once again, I do have my own play. And if he starts with h4, I might even be able to take. And after queen g4 check, I have queen g5. So I don't think I lose on the spot. I don't think I lose on the spot, but it is extremely dangerous. But I gave the whole speech about g takes f5. I said this is basically playing with fire and probably completely incorrect. Thanks then, chess. And I think you played well as well. But yeah, like somewhere here you went wrong. But also, like even kind of playing it slower, playing something like queen h5, follow it up by, I don't know, knight e4, bishop goes to a3. I think just quietly improving your position was the way to go here. You didn't need to go for like the forced mate. Did I miss all the good stuff, says Mr. Dodgy. Why are you only now showing up? It's very upsetting. Any parenting tips for an infant, says Pramod. It's been more than 10 years since my children could reliably be described as infants, so I'm probably not the person to ask. I think you should stick around and talk to Jan on the subject, because he is a much more recent parent than I am. Peter, a philosophical question, says Let There Be Love. I see some interviews of you, and you always say that you prefer open positions, but why during your life have you such a preference for e5 against e4 instead of the Sicilian? First of all, I think it's a much more even split than the question implies. I think I played a decent amount of Sicilians. I was very much neither was my mainline repertoire in the late 90s, and I played a great deal of Taimanovs and Khans of all kinds over the course of my career. But also, like, I was brought up on the Spanish. Spanish was very much something that was taught to me at a kind of an early age, and it's such a versatile opening. And also, the thing about e4, e5, as it is with e4, c5, is that despite sort of choosing one opening, let's say you play the Spanish with black, you still get tons and tons of very, very different types of structures. So you still learn a lot, and you can still kind of expand your understanding despite seemingly only playing one opening. Peter has good results in the Spanish, so why not play it? It definitely has something to do with the fact that the opening seems to agree with me, but it's not the only reason. Jan is an infant, is what Peter is trying to say. Not really. Although I may have misplayed this. I was slightly confused by the sequence of a6 and knight e5, because this is not what people normally do in this position. But people don't normally do this. It's not a particularly good answer to something somebody has already done against you. So I may have needed to be a bit more attentive. Because if I play queen g2, I think the tactics work out for my opponent. Although I feel like I may have kind of cornered myself into having to play it and ask him to prove it. The line I was talking about is he can now play b7, b5, I take, he takes on c3, I take with the queen, he goes knight takes e4. But then I can play something like queen e1, and I'm not sure it will be so easy for him to prove he has enough compensation. And if he gives me one more tempo to play knight d4, then all of these opportunities will disappear. So it kind of has to be now. Peter was outplayed in some Spanish exchange, right? Maybe Queen f6 he played. That's an interesting take on the best game I've played in years. I assume you're referring to my game against Arkady Naidich, in which I would think I was most definitely not outplayed, because I won it by move 35 and was much better in it by move 20, so. And now if he goes b5, I think I can go knight d5. I could also go knight d5 on the previous move, but I think waiting until he goes b7, b5 kind of makes sense here. Good old Magnus Water. Magnus Water. Are you a fan of Lewis Hamilton? I am not a fan of Formula One in general. I have absolutely nothing against Lewis Hamilton, but Formula One is just not my sport. You should talk to Sergei Rublevsky on this topic. He, I think, watched every single race for the past 20 years. What am I doing here? Am I playing h3, f4? It kind of feels weird, but I also don't see what else I'm doing, so let's go for that. Generally speaking, I feel like after castles a6, maybe the setup I aimed for is not the best. But I did not expect to be put to such a test early on, and yeah, h3 is an ugly move to make in these structures in general, but the knight on e5 is annoying me. I want to drive it away. Yeah, I think I'll take this opportunity to well, mainly I want to, like, the reason I took on h5 so quickly was I wanted to just play f5 here, and I will stick to this idea, even though after kind of semi-careful consideration I'm no longer sure this is so great. But I think it makes a lot of sense strategically, because I'm now cutting out this queen from the good squares on the queen side and in the center. In particular, the queen will not be getting back to, let's say, the c5 square, where it could trade for my stuff. I could also play knight d5 instead, but after knight d5 I felt he had a better handle on just getting all of the light pieces off the board. In Mother Russia, Magnus Water checkmates you, says Ingo L 1337. Yeah, that's sort of the idea, although I think the execution of the old in Soviet Russia, something could have been better there. Like, it feels like I should be able to actually kind of checkmate this queen and collect it, but I don't see how. It's bugging me. Let's just continue improving our position and kind of pass the question over to our opponent. I wanted to play bishop g5, but then he has this knight takes c4, bc4, bishop takes d4, queen takes g5 tactics, so I have to be kind of careful I don't allow that. Yeah, this is, I think, very critical, but I thought I can just take twice and not be extremely upset. He probably should take on g5 here, yeah. Maybe I should be upset, maybe I just misevaluated this horribly. Yeah, I have a feeling I probably could have done better than this. This is no longer clear at all. I mean, I'm probably doing okay, but I'm pretty sure I had a massive advantage at some point in this game. I think I'm actually still at a very, very large advantage because of this tactical shot. That implies there is bad vodka, says Dodgy. Yeah, I mean the whole vodka discussion. I'm not actually, despite all the stereotypes about Russians you may have heard of, I'm not actually a large vodka drinker. I prefer Scotch to most things. But yeah, this, like, I should not have done that either, but I'm not converting this like at all cleanly, but flagging comes in handy when your brain switches off. Peter barely drinks a liter a day. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. But isn't vodka way cheaper in Russia? I think vodka in general will be cheaper than Scotch unless you talk about the very top level sort of elite segment. But yeah, I mean it's a personal preference, and Scotch is mine. Okay, a slightly lower rated challenge for a bit, and I need to remember that I don't actually have another half an hour because Jan asked me to finish at about 4:45, so we might have like 3 more games, which also implies I should probably look for 3-minute challenges more than 5-minute challenges here. What is the evaluation of the queen ending here? White is better, but probably it might be closer to a draw than white wants, and I should have in no way, shape, or form allowed it. I think I was completely winning after rook e7, and I played way too passively, allowing him to get the rooks off the board. Does Kramnik have social media? He didn't used to. I think he had, very much a policy of staying very, very far away, all kinds of social media. He might have some now, but as far as I know, he is still staying very, very far away. You played a decent game, Phoenix. Yeah, you have nothing to blame yourself for. This one isn't starting, so let's look for something else. Blitzgod Grishuk says, I'm low rated, pick me. That actually worked on me. I mean, then I realized he's 27, 25, but I thought, first of all, like, how do you not play somebody with this username? And then, yeah, I mean, I'm a simple person. It doesn't take much to amuse me. A move of some description. I have no idea what, I mean, this doesn't make any sense, but it shouldn't stop us, right? Knight f1, knight g1, f3, g4, e2, g1, f3, whilst black is actually making useful developing moves. In my defense, I will say that this knight has a fantastic square on g5 to look forward to. So it's not like completely and utterly ridiculous. But I have a feeling this will not refute h3, e5, knight d2, h5. I should not blunder knight d4, or at least I should constantly check if I'm blundering knight d4. Here I kind of didn't blunder knight d4, I didn't think this was great, but maybe it's perfectly fine because he just goes bishop b6 and my pawn on c2 is so weak. Yeah, I was kind of... I was extremely locked in this idea that his structure is ruined and that like all kinds of simplifications are in my favor. It's nowhere near true, and I will now be made to regret my decisions. Have you watched Black Mirror yet? Says it's Charlie. Not the 5th season. The 4 seasons, yes, but not the last one. What's the worst job you ever had? Define job. Because like I think by most definitions I never had a job apart from what you're watching. And this is not a bad job in general. I think I actually need to make this slightly sad move to do this now. Yeah, I don't know why he is so sure he is not losing this position. It's interesting to me. I wouldn't automatically assume with black here that I'm not losing. If he thought this is like all a prelude to me offering a draw, he might be bitterly disappointed. Although e5 king f3 and then just passing forever might be good enough, but I'm not sure. I don't think I should touch anything on the queen side here. I think I'm okay for now. I think ba4 will improve my position a lot more than it improves his. This is actually a very interesting endgame, which I am doing absolutely no justice to. But what to do? This now probably is a draw if he goes e5. Or maybe even if he just plays bishop f6, I don't think I have a way in. Yeah, I have a feeling I kind of butchered this quite badly. I think this is wrong though. I don't think he should have given me this. This doesn't feel right at all. Okay. Is even this a draw? No, I'm not accepting a draw for like, come on. I mean, I have a very legitimate try here. But it may have been a draw because after I have played king f4, of course you're supposed to play bishop h2 check, but also there's, I mean, the flagging concerns. But even if it is a draw, it's a tricky one because I can actually, in some of these positions, I can try king g2, bishop e3 and takes, but although probably it doesn't win. So like even if it is a draw, it's not an easy one for black, but maybe it was a draw. Sent you a 960 challenge, says Perpetual Stalemate. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Ah, there it is. $2,700 on chess 24 is like 2,200 FIDE. Not necessarily, no. This doesn't look like it's Fisher random. Have I been debated here? As 960 as chess 24 allows me. Boo! No fair. That's not how you spell debated. You see, even Nightbot disagrees, right? That's how you spell debated. Triple M knows. Peter not listening to me, says Dutch Defender. Never play the Dutch. There's definitely something to what you're saying there, Dutch Defender. I mean, it's still sort of possible to play the Dutch regardless, but I mean, there's definitely a point to what you're saying. Ah, okay. So we are playing, goodness me, we are playing some kind of 960 because it wouldn't let me castle. People doing this to me is becoming like people's new favorite pastime. Give Peter a normal looking position and then he realizes that he's giving like the absolute impossible handicap. Okay, so can I make some kind of a slow crawl towards g8? How many tempi do I need for that? I need to play in order bishop e6, h6, king f7, rook f8, king g8. I will probably get mated in the process, but I will give it my best shot. Okay, he is giving me tempi to do all that stuff. Yeah. This is where the whole let's get mated part comes in. Can I castle queenside, I wonder? Let's try castling queenside next. Do you still play Hearthstone sometimes? What do you mean sometimes? I feel very insulted. Just castles, says Triple M. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just win, lul. Okay, let's see. Nope. Nope. Not a legal move. Okay, so now we kind of walk towards... Okay, now he's opened the queen side as well. I was about to say, now we walk towards b7 very, very slowly, but we're also not doing that, apparently. King is safest in the center. You are not entirely wrong, but actually I'm sort of one move away, well, 2 moves away from actually properly connecting my rooks and everything, so. Things are looking up. I will just take on g5 and go king f7, and I will pretend that this was always the plan. Why can't you castle, asks Chess164. Because Perpetual Stalemate tricked me. And we are playing some incredibly weird special rules, which I think neither of us actually knows. which makes it even funnier.
How are we doing?
We're doing okay. We're getting a visitation from the ghost of Christmas present.
I can't even tell if that's a compliment or not.
Yeah, thank you. No!
Did I zoom you out?
You have completely destroyed the one thing I wanted out of this show.
What is it? Your t-shirt?
The thing.
Hang on, Tech Jan is on it. It's a t-shirt that says the Blazer?
It says the bazaar.
The Bazaar?
Yeah. Thank you. You are very welcomed.
Ugh. Note to self, don't touch stuff.
Yeah. The techiest stream on all of the Twitches.
That's for sure.
Look at him being spiteful on purpose.
What's that? The mic's in the frame. I messed it all up.
Why? Why you do this?
Hang on. Challenge Paul Borta. No?
Yay! Come on, Noodle. It's your last 10 minutes of hosting this stream, potentially. Give us a host, Noodle. We're giving you free promotions and stuff. And in the meantime, I am winning this fake chess 960 game by just outlasting my opponent, which is how you win chess games. That's some production value right there, boys, says it's Charlie. Don't we know it? Okay, one last one, I guess, yeah?
No, take your time, take your time. Yeah.
Do I have time for one last one?
Sure.
So, how are things on the outside? I saw I was being shown to somebody, and that somebody was told in hushed tones that I'm a strong chess player. I wonder who that somebody is.
I don't know either. I think it's our new business model. Like, we charge people €9.99 to peek through the studio door. A strong chess player in the wilderness.
Yeah, sounds fair.
That's a FIDE Master you're playing.
I am playing a FIDE Master. Is it my coffee or your coffee?
You can have it.
No, the pause there was very telling.
I didn't know.
I am not touching your coffee now.
I don't think I touched it yet.
I'm also
slip.
I'm also
You're lost.
I also am not strong enough to actually leave the d pawn and get it all the way to d5 clearly. I should work out more.
Well, according to PH, the King's Indian is what should be played.
Yeah, very much so. Does PH know what I'm supposed to play here? I think it's not c5. It's
PH probably knows.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. There's alcohol in Jan's coffee, I know it, says Banter Chess.
Not really.
Jan is a teetotaler. Pretty much.
There's barely coffee in my coffee. It's German style. It's like 90% cold milk, then you get a zip of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I make Jan a coffee, I think this is an abomination. I should not be bringing this to anybody. And then I think, yeah, okay, not my business. Positional sacrifice.
Wow.
Completely unsound. Also, only in the best case good for a draw. I don't know what I'm doing here and also why I'm doing it, but...
Maybe it's time to apologize for it.
Yes. So, never a bad idea to apologize. People think you are genuine and caring and things.
Me?
Well,
No,
not you.
no one thinks that.
Yeah, not you. I mean,
okay.
I was using the...
Yeah.
Like, if you apologize, people kind of immediately assume you're a nice person. You can fool people for a very, very long time doing that.
I had to live for 26 years until someone finally told me the secret. Pompush is asking, hello Jan, good day off. It's not a day off, we're here, we're bantering, but it's a beautiful day, the sun is shining outside. Do you have plans for later? Are you meeting your Your boy?
I'm probably meeting my boy, yeah. I'm also getting mated here, which is a bit regrettable.
Nah.
I'm planning to go g5, g4 and allow rook takes f7, but I don't think it works, which is kind of a snag in my plan. Might be a draw though. I mean, let's go, who cares? I mean, I missed queen e1. Queen e1 I think is might be a bigger problem with my plan than the fact that I'm getting mated after rook af1.
But b2 is hanging. It's great compensation.
Excellent compensation. I'm creating a modern masterpiece here. Yeah.
Rikala in the chat is applying to be your boy.
No, I already have a boy. There's no way I can fit. Yeah, I probably should stop with that sentence. But yeah, it's Pride Month, people. My closest school friend lives in Hamburg now. For those of you who are inclined to believe me when I say this is what I mean, my all-time closest school friend lives in Hamburg, and this is the day I can meet him.
I would ditch my oldest school friend for Rikala any minute. Queen h6, are you getting checkmated?
H2 knight g3.
Wow.
I did see that. Yeah, there's no way I can fit two boys, Peter Svidler 2019. We clearly should not have ended the stream before this started, right? I mean, without this game, this conversation would never have happened. Oops, sorry. Scrolling the wrong thing.
This is an exciting game. You might be winning or losing. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, I'm right.
Probably
Yeah,
winning.
no, I think knight f4 check probably does very well here. And also, he's completely forced to make this move because otherwise he gets mated. So it's not like he has much of a choice.
I don't get it. If you take it,
Well, I think I can only take it once, right? Because if I take it twice, then like my
oh,
attack...
we've already covered that subject, no?
Well played, sir. Well played. Yeah, I'm getting completely slaughtered here. Nice on my opponent for spotting all these things. Hang on. Ah, yeah.
There's still the key element in the position which he's neglecting.
I'm aware, but I don't think it will matter much.
You think he will checkmate you with his 10 seconds?
Crap.
What now?
Well, I mean, why? I thought I was actually doing well for a second. Maybe I am now, but like bishop h7, rook f7 was still winning there. Whoops. Yeah, this was kind of exciting, but probably also completely lost objectively. First of all, he probably shouldn't allow rook f8 at all, but even if he does, in this position, he can go after king g8. He could have gone bishop h7 and rook f7. I don't actually give my mate on f1. But there you go. At least we had fun here, right? Somewhere around here. But don't really do this exchange sacrifice. It's not particularly sound. So that's what you asked me to finish at the quarter to.
No, you can keep going. You can do one more if you want to.
I don't think we are beating this in terms of like all-round excitement, combination of brilliant chess content and wonderful dialogues with our chat people. So I think this is a good place to stop. We did not get the host, but we tried our best. Thanks everybody for sticking around. There will be more banters on the second rest day, which I think is on Tuesday, right?
I don't know days of the week. The 11th of June. What day could that be? Let's do the math. Today is Friday. It's the 7th. Tomorrow Saturday is the 8th. And Sunday is the 9th. Monday is the 10th. I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, so there will be, I assume, more bantering on Tuesday. And now I will probably, as Zalay does in these cases, I will show you 5 minutes of ads. Well, not 5 minutes, but I will show you some ads. Do consider going premium because this is, as you can see, obviously great all-around themed content, taking into account all the modern trends in...
We need to pay our camera people.
And also that, yeah. So there are some ads for you. There's a lot of deals going on right now, so you can take advantage of.
Did you mention the show, the Great Norway Chess Show?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I didn't. Well, I kind of mentioned it in passing, but we will return tomorrow with the coverage of round 4 of Altibox Norway Chess. So this is one deal you can take advantage of. There's also this. Isn't this the same one?
No, this is for a month, you get a free month. The other is for a year, you get 3 months on top. Which...
Yeah, that's pretty good. And there's also this, which I feel like I should be taking advantage of because I want that hoodie. That hoodie looks lit.
We have one here. It's a bit smelly, but...
Can I have a new one?
Oof,
please?
That's pushing it a bit.
I understand, but I got you here, so I am pushing it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, so on that note, see you all guys hopefully tomorrow with the continued coverage of the Altibox Norway Chess, and Jan will be on in about 10 to 13 minutes with his own particular brand of crushing people's souls. All right, so see you guys, and thanks for watching.
I was gonna switch the mic off, but these sound effects, they should remain.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Me swigging vodka from a bottle.